Hey team, it's Andrew from Apex Trades. Today we're going to be reviewing 4 YouTubers who are futures traders, right? You probably all watch them in various formats, but really today is about evaluating them, right? And what we're going to evaluate them, or at least what I'm going to evaluate them on, is entertainment, education, and transparency. I think that's the other key thing, right? You've got to understand how transparent a trader is. Do they show you their trades? Do they show you the wins? Do they show you the losses? How do they manage psychological emotions as well? They're the kind of key topics I want to cover. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my order of who I think is the best to least in terms of those criteria. So the first one we're going to talk about is Alpine Trader. Now listen, I got into futures trading 2021. Sorry, 2021, scrap that. January of 2024. I knew nothing about prop firm trading, and I come across Alpine Trader, just stumbling across videos, just trying to see who was watching kind of futures videos. And I guess the reason we all do that is because we like to see how others are getting on, and it's almost like a litmus test of how good I am against these other traders. Now that's not, you may not have that same kind of consensus, but you kind of want to see how others are performing. What I don't advocate, and I will probably never advocate, is following people's trades anyway, right? And I know this is a kind of a slight segue, but one of the biggest mistakes I think you can make is if you follow a trader, whether it's Alpine, whether it's Rips, whether it's Patrick, whether it's ZeroDayJay, whoever, I would not advocate following their trades, simply because none of them can predict the market, right? They all put themselves out there, they do their thing, win, lose or draw. Some better than others will get a result, but equally it's just not. You should always have your own plan and your own ideas and use that as nothing more than a kind of soundboard to kind of see what others are thinking, right? But oftentimes it's like Top Step TV, it can cloud your judgment. Many a times I've been watching Top Step TV and you see these pros, not digging anyone out, but they get it wrong, right? And if you're on that same trade, then you're going to get it wrong. So Alpine, right? How do I assess Alpine? So as I say, I came across him very early on, and I would say, look, if we evaluate entertainment first, he's not the most dynamic in terms of how he entertains, but what he does bring to the party is realism, right? He talks about himself, he talks about his car, you know, and these are all things that for him, it's his personal journey. It's what he's always set out to do. You know, he's just honest, and what I like about him is just that kind of realism that he brings to the table. He's not a big kind of, you know, big I am, thinks he's the best, you know, a YouTuber. If anything, he's just sharing his journey, and I definitely resonate with that, because I think for most of us out there who are trading, whether you're on YouTube or not, you just want someone who's honest and transparent. And from that perspective, he gets a high mark. Entertainment as a whole is probably not his biggest strength, if I'm honest, but it doesn't really matter, right? You're not there, I suppose you're there to entertain, but really what we're there for is to watch the trading, right? But I don't think he's the best trader, and that's because I think with Alpine, his head got in a spin and he's kind of struggling to get back to where that was from his opening range trade, right, which he used to trade a lot, and that worked really well. But then since Apex came out and said that's now never happening and you can't DCA, or you know, the rules around the DCA have been kind of tightened, he's lost his way a little bit, and I know he's tried different things. I know now, if you're watching this today, he's currently on the 15-minute opening range with varying success. He's done a lot of back testing, but I found that he kind of switches. Sometimes he'll scalp, sometimes he'll try that, and I just feel like he's lost his way a little bit. That's not a negative or a criticism. I think he'd probably be the first to admit in his own head that that's where he's at with things, right? And he just needs to kind of try to distill some of the noise, get back to what he was good at, try to focus on his trading, and I'm sure he'll get a lot better with that. In terms of his strategy, listen, it'd be very easy for me to criticize and say this strategy is much better or whatever else. No strategy is better than any other strategy. That's not strictly true, but ultimately it's always weighted with your ability to manage your psychological emotions, right? And what I found with Alpine is psychologically he pretty much stays solid to his game plan in terms of stop losses, which he'll do a lot, and he's quite rigid in that. And I found that that's his psychological game is really good, and that's not easy, specifically if you've got thousands of people watching you daily, scrutinizing every single move you've made. And so for me, when you combine trading strategy with the psychological edge, it's not bad, right? He's definitely got the psychological edge. I just don't think as a trader he's quite at the point where he's knows what a system is. I just think he needs to kind of figure that out a little bit. And then the last section was transparency, right? And I kind of mused into this, but from a transparent trader, does he show his trades? Absolutely, everything is on show. Win, lose or draw. He shows his account statuses in all of his videos, and so I think he does a really good job. And so for me, Alpine Trader, definitely a solid all-round YouTuber, really good to watch. Who would I recommend him for? Probably those who are beginners getting into the market, because he does a lot with educating, not specifically about a strategy. He's not there to educate about a strategy, but what he does do is kind of give people a lot about how things are, a lot about it. He's a quite well-renowned knowledge on Apex specifically, but he doesn't just trade Apex. He trades bull knocks, he trades all different ones. And so if you're a trader who kind of is just coming into that new scene of futures trading, definitely give him a watch. Okay, let's move on. At the end, I'm going to rate each of these, right? I know I'll give a number there, but at the end, I'm going to give a full rating of who my top to bottom are. And I won't rate it based on numbers. I'll just say he's my favourite trader, second favourite, third favourite, and fourth favourite. Second on the roster is Rips. Rips, I watched a little bit later. And now for UK, if you're in the UK, the best thing you can do is you watch Rips from 1 o'clock. And then from 1 o'clock, he normally finishes just about 2:30, which is for me in the UK, that's New York Open. And then he'll go and trade in his own Discord server. But Rips is a solid all-rounder. Technically speaking, he's very good. He understands option theory, he understands markets, and he understands order flow. He spent a lot of time with time in sales, and he uses order flow software called Bookmap. And so what I've watched over the years with Rips is he's really efficient. He really talks a good game. He kind of educates a lot on what he's doing and why he's doing it. And he also does his daily levels, which is levels that are really good, actually. You watch his levels, whether he goes on to Top Step TV or if he does it in his own server, you'll find his levels always seem to be really good with how he kind of puts them together. But Rips, I've found, is very entertaining. He's a good entertainer all around. He keeps the flow moving. There's very rarely any silence. He does a lot of kind of communication with the crowd, who are watching his videos. But technically, wow. I mean, again, from a transparency perspective, very transparent. Always shows his winners, always shows his losers. And they're always there for people to see. And he often gets into battles with different people. Patrick Wieland is one of them as an example, but that banter is always fun to watch, right? I think the thing that Rips can back himself is he's got a live account, he's always got XFAs, and he always trades combines. He's typically a top step trader. I don't think he trades any other system, any other any other prop firm other than Top Step. His main bias is momentum trading, and what that means is he's waiting for momentum one way or the other to come into the market. So usually like a breakout trader, and he's looking for things like time in sales, and he's looking for order flow in order to kind of time that move and then try to carry that wave. Rips will often jump on the news events So if there's a big news event, NFP, CPI, any of those kind of moves, he tends to jump on them. Sometimes he'll wait for it to settle, but he will generally always try to jump on those kind of moves because he's a momentum trader, right? And I'd say with Rips, he is very much... So who would I recommend Rips for? He's a really solid all-rounder. He is someone who can talk to you if you're a beginner, but even if you're a more educated trader and you've got much more visibility on your experience of if you've been trading for years, he's a good all-rounder. Really like Rips. Always watch Rips from 1 o'clock, and then I'll move on to Alpine Trader from 2. Okay, who have we got next on the roster? So next, I'm going to say Patrick Wieland. Now, honestly, I don't watch Patrick Wieland an awful lot. I've tried to watch him. You know, I don't want to criticise the guy, but I just feel with Patrick, it is purely entertainment only. I am yet to see anything substantial that I would constitute as a good trader. He tends to use a lot of kind of, what would you call them, indicators that, I don't know, I mean, I always think if people are relying a lot on indicators, things like order blocks and stuff like that from Lux Algo, generally they don't know price action that well, and they can't follow markets too greatly. Right now, the big thing that I always have a problem with Patrick Wieland is he doesn't show his winners or losers, or he may show his winners when he wants to show a winner, but he doesn't tend to show his losers, and that's a big problem because I think there's a lot of kidology that can happen with that. It's easy to not show winners if you don't, losers if you want to, but entertainment value, I mean, he's hard to knock, right? I mean, he has this kind of aggressive way in which he speaks, an aggressive way in which he goes about business, and a lot of people can kind of like that. He's very much a Marmite character. Some people like him, some people don't. I you know, for me as a trader, I just want to knuckle down and figure out how to trade, right? And for entertainment and just kind of seeing how he operates, he's not someone I particularly watch. Although if you are that kind of degen, you know, like having banter, bit crazy, whatever, then Patrick is probably a choice, right? And a lot of people will think he's a good trader. Now, I would probably say a lot of newer traders who come into the market think he's a good trader because he has that kind of vibe about him, right? But for me, as a more experienced trader, he's not someone I watch for technical nuance and understanding how he operates as a trader. I don't think there's much I can learn from Pat as a trader. Now, that's not for everyone. However, I've already stated my claim there. Psychologically, I don't know how good Pat is. I've not watched him enough psychologically to see how he deals. Does he go on tilt a lot? I'd probably say every trader suffers from tilt, and therefore I'd probably suggest that Pat does too, although I can't corroborate that because I physically haven't watched enough of Pat to know if that is the case or not. And last on the roster, this one came through because I've only been watching this guy lately, and for pure entertainment value, it's ZeroDayJay. If you've ever watched ZeroDayJay, he does funny hours for me, right? I'm a UK trader, so he tends to come on the power hour of New York. He does the overnight session, and sometimes I'll catch him in the morning just before London opens. He'll do some, but from an entertainment perspective, he is absolutely superb and probably the best entertainment value of all 4 of these traders that I've said. He's a really good guy. I've got a lot of time kind of listening to him. He's a very, very engaging character. Does a lot with the community in terms of engagement and questions, and kind of makes people feel welcome. Technical wise, I don't really know what his strategy is. I don't think, and this isn't belittling Jay, I don't think he himself knows what his strategy is. I think he uses a lot of EMAs, fractals. What else does he use? Sometimes he'll use VWAP. That was a little nod to Jay. But oftentimes, you know, I don't know. I don't know what his strategy is. It's like, if it comes up to X, I'm going to go Y, or if it does this, I'm going to do whatever. He very much has his own kind of style that just kind of, you know, goes with whatever he feels at the time. And that's okay. That's more like price action in the sense that you get it sometimes when you've been in the markets long enough. You get a good feel for what might come next. You're not always going to be right, but as long as you've got your psychology right and you've got a stop loss in place, then it's okay. Now, what I'd say about Jay specifically, and what I've noticed, it's been great to see his journey, right? Because with Jay, he's kind of started off, from what I could initially tell, he calls it tuition, but spending a lot of money on Apex accounts and other accounts and stuff like that. And, you know, his track record initially wasn't great, but what I've noticed specifically in the last few months from date of this video, he's getting a lot of payouts, he's passing a lot of accounts, and he's doing really well. And I love to see that journey, because ultimately what the prop firm space is catered for is not necessarily the best trader in the world, right? You've just got to know how to play their system, and that's taking profit early. Don't hold on to losers. Get out when you need to, and just get to that payout. Build your accounts and try and multiply it. Real trading in the pit is completely different, right? You're putting big value on and you're letting winners run. You can't really afford to do that within our space because of things like the consistency rule. But just all over as an entertainer, really, really good stuff. And if you just want to have a laugh, specifically for my time, when if you've had a beat up day, or you've had a good day even, it's just good to kind of see what others are doing, right? And that's definitely one I would put in the list to watch, even if you've never watched them before. Now, how would I rate these 4 traders overall? It's challenging. It's difficult, right? Because each serves a slightly separate niche. I'm going to start from bottom, right? My number 4 is going to be Patrick Wieland, and that's simply because I think he's really only an entertainer. I don't think there's anything to learn from that. And that would be kind of what I'd say about that, really. Number 3 will be ZeroDayJay, and ZeroDayJay purely on entertainment value, but also just to kind of watch someone who's new coming into the journey, not new by expenditure, but new as in YouTube, right? He's only just started not too long, and it's good seeing the growth and good seeing that kind of value. Do I take anything from his trading capability? Probably not. That's because I have my own style, and others might have styles too that differentiate from that. But entertainment value, it's why he gets my number 3. This is where it became really difficult, right? Because I've definitely got a soft spot for Alpine, because Alpine, I kind of feel like, was the one who inaugurated me into prop firms, because I knew nothing about that, and I used to ask a ton of questions at the start, but purely based on the fact that there's not a lot of education that I can receive. But that's not his content, right? He's not there to educate people, but still you can watch styles and you can see how people trade. He just misses out on the number 1 spot. And that's, you know, he's a great YouTuber. I think he's going to only continue to expand, because he's fantastic for new people coming into the market who really just want to get a good grounding of what normal might be. And he's doing really well on YouTube and everything else. Don't even want to take that away from him. I'm nowhere near any of these guys in terms of my YouTube capability. I don't trade live, let's be honest, right? Or I don't trade live often. And so to put yourself out there is a really difficult thing to do, because, as I said before, everyone's scrutinising you, right? But I do like him, and I do watch him every day, pretty much when I get the chance. And then top spot is Rips, right? And Rips, because Rips does actually educate. Rips spends a lot of time kind of going through stuff, and I find that a lot. There's a lot that I can take from that, from an educational standpoint, and nuanced about how I can bring that into my own kind of journey. And his overall kind of way in which he goes about things is just really, really good to see. He's got a very good background, and he's a poker player, doing really well. Lives out in Las Vegas, and so it's always good to kind of see what's going on in those kind of frames. And so that would be it. So my top to bottom, top is Rips, second is Alpine Trader, third would be ZeroDayJay, and number 4 will be Patrick Wieland. Did I miss anyone off this? Is there anyone you would incorporate that I'm missing that needs to go in this top 4? Let me know in the comments, because I don't get the chance to watch everyone, right? But it's always nice to know if there's someone who I'm missing off the roster. then maybe I can think about reviewing them, and in 6 months' time I'll do another little four or five review. But that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace out.